Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. Welcome to today's conversation with the one and only Henry Mickelberg as our guest. Now officially U.S.-based and setting his sights on mission-critical infrastructure. And no, that doesn't mean he's just here for the cheeseburgers and the baseball. Henry's chasing something far bigger. The data center gold rush. Today, we'll dive into how this massive boom is cracking open the door to real construction innovation. Henry will share his pragmatic take on the industrialized construction evolution, pulling from a career that spanned policy, technology, housing, and now the fast-growing world of data centers. If you want a glimpse into the future of this built environment, one that doesn't rely on government mandates, handouts, or waiting around for the next big policy shift, this is going to be the conversation you don't want to miss. But first, we got to give a big shout out to our good friends at Cobalt Creed. They service builders, developers, prefab home builders, and manufacturers, allowing them to achieve the highest levels of comfort, indoor air quality, and low energy costs with their HVAC system installed for their projects and their customers. Their approach is simple. By using their proprietary small duct high-velocity central heating and cooling system. Learn more at cobaltcreed.com. Now, let's get into a word from our sponsor. Brought to you by GrayTech, developers of the complete light gauge steel and wood framing software for Revit StruxSoft. Off-site, modular, or prefabricated, StruxSoft Framer turns Revit into a powerful manufacturing tool, automating every step of the DFMA process from design to final delivery. StruxSoft doesn't just work with Revit, it transforms it. Jumpstart your designs at StruxSoftSolutions.com. Hallock Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, hallickltd.com. All right, a big thank you to all of our supporting members and all of the supporting members that you see going across the ticker below. Big shout out to all of them that you see there. We can't do any or all of this without your support out there. We'd love to add your information to our ticker below. So if you're interested and you want to be part of our community and get the inside scoop on what's happening around the world and join us at private events, well, reach out to us. We'd love to have you part of the community. All right, without further ado, let's bring on the Mr. Mickelberg, Henry being the first name. What's up, Mr. Henry Mickelberg?
I'm very well, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been a couple of years, I think.
It has been a couple of years, right? We met during, I think, the COVID pandemic when we were traveling around in a motorhome, I think is when we first started communicating, right?
Yeah, I mean, apparently you got an actual house in the end.
Well, yes, we do have a natural house now, but it only been in this one since September. I mean, I missed the motorhome, quite honestly.
Well, I'm officially homeless now. So, or as the French say, décroissant, which is a much posher way of titling it. So if you've got an RV I can borrow, that'd be great.
You know what? I don't anymore, but I can find one for you. And I have to tell you, the best innovation is going to come from you. I mean, if you're homeless, it's a crisis around the world. And who better than to, experience it to figure our way out of it?
I have been traveling around. I've been Panama, loved Panama, Costa Rica, don't go there. Went to Vegas, we got food poisoning. So I'm in Texas at the moment, and I quite like it, to be honest. As a slightly cultured redneck, I like it. If I stay any longer, I'll have to get the name of whoever does your teeth whitening.
Oh, well, yeah, it's called.
Yeah.
Well, listen, love it. We got a lot to get into here, Mr. Mickelberg. That's a tongue twister right there. Right. But with that said, before we do jump into what you're doing now, what you're doing with the data centers and some of the updates that you have since the last time you've been on the show, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you've been and what you've been doing since the last time you've been on here?
Well, as you may know, I left the very sensible world of nuclear in 2013, 2014 to go to the mad world of industrialized construction. And I spent 10 years going through that learning curve, particularly, although I wasn't living in the UK, but UK-centric learning, which has sort of culminated a couple of years ago with the construction innovation hubs reports and the good people, Trudy Sully, Bryden Wood, all that crowd, with an actual government solution, which was aligned to the UK government's transforming infrastructure roadmap 2030 to mandate a product platform approach, which hasn't happened. But there we are. But that was sort of the catalyst for me to leave that and go back to mission critical infrastructure. So data centers, battery energy storage systems, PV, SMR, small modular reactors, nuclear, which has been an open door, frankly. And that's what I spent the last couple of years concentrating.
You know what? It's kind of funny. The average person would be saying, well, I was trying to figure out how to build my stairwell better, right? And here you are looking at critical infrastructure at a massive scale, not at a small scale. So, I mean, you have a lot of experience, working with the government. We've had, who you mentioned, Trudy Sully, Matt McDonald, Jamie Johnson from Bryden Wood. We've covered the Construction Innovation Hub in the product platform rule books. But let's talk about the UK government's bold shift in infrastructure delivery. How one strategy could reshape, and I said could, and I know you're going to correct me on this, hospitals, prisons, and all the above, schools. Let's talk about the Transforming Infrastructure Roadmap 2030 you were working on.
Well, I was, the TIP roadmap has been in place for a long time. And a lot of good people, aforementioned people, have did a great deal of work. Some of it was great, some of it was not so great, but some of it was outstanding. Defining the need was probably the best piece of work that was done, particularly from a methodology perspective, and I'm all about the methodology. So I like to refer you to my Beverly Knight shoulda, woulda, coulda flow chart here of what I call the sort of the cycle of industrialized construction over 10 years in the UK. So top left, you've got Beverly Knight's shoulda, woulda, coulda record. The basis of measure of you can't solve anything unless you can measure it. So I think CAST with their MMC categories in 2016 really made, it wasn't perfect, but they set out categories of MMC, which actually had a fundamental step change in the way the UK government set out what things were, what categories were they in, and we were then able to see the benefits, of the actual value proposition. What is it? What does it do? How does it make money? A lot of people fell out of that. Let's go for Citizen M, Tide Vision, Greystar, where they actually said, well, they could see the benefits of doing this. What happens is they are able to measure those things, and they understand the competitive advantage for that, and they lock it away and keep it secret and safe. So, there are people out there doing it. It does work. But that's competitive advantage for you. That's how that works. So essentially, we got from there into a kit approach.
I love when you say the competitive advantage, right? We're still only 3 to 4% of the entire market, Henry. Even if they gave up all their secrets, we'd still only be less than 10% of the market, and they'd have more market share if people knew their secrets, in my humble opinion. But who am I? I'm just a host of a show here.
Right. Probably analogy time. If I want to buy a mountain bike, I can go online, look at the forks, I can look at the crankset, I can look at the wheels, I can look at the handlebars, I can see how much it costs, I can see the weight. I can take 10 criterion out of that, and then I can make an informed decision on a like-for-like basis. Now, bizarrely, with industrialized construction, we can't do that. We could. It would involve us saying, well, okay, let's build 1,000 units there, traditional, put all the time and motion studies in, no changes to the abnormals to that at all, and then do one in various types of IC, and then measure that, and out of that would come the key metric benefits for it. We can't do that. It's a strange thing. And clearly there are benefits to when you get to scale. I mean, the project, it takes those key drivers. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it isn't. And a lot of the time it isn't less expensive. It's just that, borrowing money, shorter time periods, blah, blah, blah. All those things, they're all known. All those metrics are known. They're all measurable. But essentially, the UK government went down the kit of parts approach. That was done extremely well by others, mm-hmm. To the point where the 5 types of UK government estate were set out into a sort of component basis. And when you look at a school or a hospital, they're made of the same stuff, just in different specifications, configurations. And by identifying that simple premise, the opportunity to save huge amounts of money is there. From there, you've then got a situation where we've got the product platform rule book. Didn't have that many rules in, but that helped. And then from that, Better Delivery were asked to put together something that these big guys couldn't write themselves, which is essentially, this is what you've got to do in order to change your output specifications and mandate, because everything's a contract, mm-hmm. How you're going to take opportunity of this kit of parts approach. I was fortunate enough to engage 100 tier 1 players during their CIH engagement, set out my methodology transparently, all my workings out go into that report. And essentially it's a case of, these are the risks, these are the decisions you have to make, these are the changes you have to make to your output specifications. Would you like to go and do that, government? Those decisions are really too big, hence the political suicide. And we seem to be going back to money changing hands to reinvent this problem again. Now, that's my take on it, in my humble opinion.
Didn't we? I mean, this is the second round, right? If you did it, didn't Mark Farmer do something as well 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Farmer set out with CAST, those categories of MMC, and that had a fundamental impact. What should have happened is that should have evolved. In order to do that, you're essentially leading government procurement via Mark Farmer, which he did extremely well at.
Yeah.
But it's a megalomaniacal game. This is the way it is. You have to be a civilized megalomaniac. You can theoretically take a school somewhere, cut and paste it to somewhere else, and deal with the 10% changes to that project. And that's not how construction works. But that's the sort of thing I've been working on for 10 years in construction, in configurating that approach, that cut and paste approach, where you cut and paste everything that's the same, and then you identify and manage the 10% that's different. And that is a game-changing attitude towards procurement, which is £65 billion per year in the UK. And it can be done, but it can't be done because it's too big. But so that then pushed me to say, I've had enough of this, frankly. I'm not going to boil the ocean. And we've seen great companies try to do that in a sort of altruistic and philanthropic way, go under, because it's just such a big thing to deal with. And essentially the construction industry, when you take away labor and materials, is about 50% waste. And that 50% waste is predicated on making each project as difficult as it possibly could be, and taking fees for reinventing the wheel. And now AI tech stacks are able to replace an awful lot of that waste. And that's the premise that I've been working on, others have been working on. But the construction industry doesn't particularly want to change. But I found an industry that does, and that's back to mission critical infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, and we're seeing it, not just in data centers, we're seeing it in energy and, across the board. And it has to change to keep up with the data centers, right?
I haven't created this monster. Data centers are essentially quite unpleasant things. They take electricity and turn them into heat. Now, the challenge is to do something clever with that. Pump it into district heating mains, reuse it, do what you can, come up with a solution for renewables, battery energy storage. Because what you'll find is you say, well, it's either a data center or it's a BESS, battery energy storage, or it's a PV system. These things are all usually intertwined, and when it gets big, you're into SMRs and small modular reactors and this sort of thing. So there's never one type of solution. They're always nuanced solutions. So you've got to understand as much of it as you possibly can. And actually, I've been going back to school in the last couple of years and done tons and tons of things.
I couldn't even imagine you being smarter than what you already are.
No. I on my list of really smart people, where you've got Joel Hutchins, Trudy Sully, and Guido Boccaccio at the top. Probably about fourth or fifth with Neil MacArthur. Just saying.
You forgot me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer's up there somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree. All right, so with all the work you put in for the UK government, they didn't move forward with it, which is typical, and it happens here as well, right? Gets kicked to the curb. Same politicians, same players take the money, make the money, or rework how the everything was written to make it more complicated than it needs to be. So with that, lessons that you've seen from the EU grant funding, and why do good ideas still matter,
though? They do. One painful experience I've been through is an Anglo-French society, which I set up with Jamie Parr and a whole bunch of French guys who've been in the renewables for a long time. And I like any solution that is more efficient, burns less stuff, is cleaner, blah, blah, blah. I don't do it for altruistic reasons. I do it because, it's more efficient. It's great. And one solution we were looking at was recycling wind turbines, because a wind turbine essentially is a racehorse. It sits on top of a mountain, has to withstand minus 30 degrees, plus 40 degrees, and it vibrates like crazy. And the tolerances are so specific that when they go out of tolerance, you're in a world of pain. They explode. They do nasty things. So we came up with a solution, a hydrolian, which is a hydroelectric run-of-river and tidal solution, which is a great big 6-bladed fan that essentially built out of old wind turbine blades. And also you can use the gearbox, the generator, the coolant. You can use 80% of the wind turbine to live on in that environment. And we had great traction. We spent a lot of time with the University of Toulouse, who are experts in computational fluid dynamics. We spent a lot of time with the Bordeaux University and Bordeaux CENIO, visiting sites and testing, and put a proposal together to the European Union. And it was a case of, we said, take it on merit. It's clearly a good idea. Everybody loved the idea. If you turn the wind turbine blades into bicycle shelters, they'll give you 10 million euros straight off the bat. We had an all-encompassing holistic solution. and generally needed about 50,000 euros worth of funding application work in order to do it. So that made me rather sad.
So, I mean, are you taking the kit of parts from the windmill and using them in the ocean?
US, they sit above water. It's a floating system. So
Yeah.
a great big catamaran with sort of 9-meter diameter hydraulic. The tide comes in, the tide comes out. In Bordeaux, the Garonne has a 3-meter per second flow consistently, unless the moon falls out of the sky. It's consistent. It's a lovely thing, and it recycles those components that, because they're working in a far less onerous environment, can last another 10 years producing electricity. So yeah, but I think I learned a lot about the politics of grant application there. So again, another reason why I've just gone back to, hey, mission critical infrastructure. People they love the idea, they love the innovation. It's just an open door of innovation, effectively.
So there's like a whole new saying, right? You are renewing renewable energy sources. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's like, take the bits of a wind turbine, put them on a hydraulic. They will make electricity.
So let's talk about, kind of the mission critical infrastructure you're focused on now, right? Nuclear, data centers, PV, BESS. You're focused on cryptocurrency as well?
There's a lot to be said for producing data centers to do the mining.
Yep.
It's a thing. Again, the data center explosion is happening. It is a gold rush. We're supposed to triple the amount of data centers by 2030. I'm not interested in hyperscales because they've got that down.
So tell me, what is hyperscale?
So large data centers.
Okay. Like 5 megawatts or bigger?
No.
100 megawatts?
500 megawatts, 300 megawatts,
okay.
Big Amazon stuff,
Yeah.
Not interested in that. Where we came at was, it's a very UK specific solution. So we're talking about edge data centers. We're talking about 1 megawatt to 5 megawatt sort of size.
Okay.
And in the UK, there are the tier 2 universities, there's 160 of them, have a real financial income problem. Student numbers are down, energy costs are up, the estate costs are up. And we essentially, what they do have is they have power, they have data, and they have legacy buildings that are suitable for an edge data center. So we're essentially able to come up with a solution where we can lease from them. We'll own and operate, design, build, own, operate a data center that they can either wholesale the GPU and storage from, or we can sell it and give them a check every month. So it's a pretty clear problem reaction solution kind of thing that we're looking at. We've got the end to end for it now. We've got a way into universities. We've got us in the middle doing all the real world construction part of that, and then we've got the white space and the tech part of it together. That came together in 18 months, that solution. And it's a lovely thing. But what we have done, the big difference is we've built a sausage machine that configurates the solution very quickly. So essentially you can take a site, and you can get beautiful data sets from sites in the UK. You could have the cost of schools, you could have the geology, you can have all those things. And from there, you can automatically input our kit of parts, whether it be a data center, BESS, or whatever the mixture is. If it's a road, it's okay. We know how much it costs to excavate it, strip, terram, drainage, road base, sub base, all those things. If it's a fence, we know what that is. If it's a crack unit, a crawl unit, a PDU, a low voltage transfer, all those. And the beautiful thing about mission critical infrastructure is they're very finite and they're very repeatable. So when you have that kit of parts, you are able to instantaneously build a what-if machine to optimize that. So what if we change the PUE, which is the efficiency of the data center? What if we change the point of intersection? What if we change the tier rating of it? All those things will automatically parametrically alter all the other parts of the puzzle and the ROI calculator as well. So we supercharge. Essentially what we do is we have that behind the curtain.
Yeah,
it sits behind the Oz curtain.
Right.
And it supercharges our ability to identify and do feasibility studies with all the outputs that you need to confirm whether or not it's viable or not.
I mean, so with AI, right, it has to have the appropriate data in it. So what you're saying is you guys have built the infrastructure with the proper data in it. So then you can go and look at all these critical infrastructure sites, whether they're in the infancy of the site or whether they're an existing site and wants to make changes. You can plug into whatever they're doing and instantaneously with your sausage machine, as you call it, spit out accurate numbers, information, science that says this will be the impact XYZ.
Yeah, it comes out. This is a feasibility scheme. So on the engineer, procure, construct timeline, you have milestones in it. We're essentially looking at the sort of 10% submission, which is the feasibility study. And automate that. We did it for someone very big, which I can't talk about, but essentially,
Henry, you can talk about it.
I can't. So essentially, the client gives you something. Can you give me a feasibility study for this? And they give you a certain amount of things. So if you can ring fence what those things are, and then we would need this, the 10% EPC submissions.
Yep.
In between here and there, there's a bunch of humans making decisions. So what I essentially did was reverse engineer what those pesky humans do in that process. And you'll find whatever they do is a metric.
Yep.
It'll be a number, it'll be a drop down, it'll be a decision, it'll be something. And the beautiful thing is a whole bunch of those decisions come from, you can extract from the GIS data from the site already, the geology, the code requirements, those types of things, whether it's near an airport this time. There's so much data that you can automatically auto-generate. And essentially that's what it is. It's a what-if machine, and you can fiddle with things in it. You know, actually we can't get hold of that MV transform because on an 18-month lead-in time. So if we replace it with this, how does it affect this? We change the PDU here. What if the point of intersection is 2 miles away? How do those things change?
So for somebody like me that's the CEO of a major company like this, and I've been talking to you, Henry, like, how much are you cutting the time down on me having to figure this out the old-fashioned way?
Typically a 10% EPC submission for a BESS scheme, battery energy storage solution scheme, takes about 3 weeks. And it ties up the top engineers in your company to do that. And also there'll be human error in there as well. So we were able to reverse engineer that to a point where at the touch of a button, those deliverables, the one-line diagrams, the layout drawings, the caveats, the specification, the correct and optimized technology solution is provided. And we also were able to bring out the QA checks as a dashboard, if you like, for those engineers to make that human oversight decision making as well. So yeah, it's a lovely thing. One, you tend to get paid for those as well, especially in the current climate. And two, it frees you up to concentrate on more pressing issues. But essentially, for us, for the UK-based university and other nasty sites that are unattractive, it could be contaminated land, these types of things, or something that's received a planning application permission for something that actually nobody wants, is kicked back on, or they haven't thought about it as hard as they perhaps should have done. So unattractive sites, it's a very good, quick solution for that. And essentially that sits behind the curtain and powers that edge solution. And we keep it secret and safe and hidden away.
So if I ask you what the name of your configurator is, are you going to tell me?
We're trying to keep it a bit on the down low, but the configurator is our secret sauce sausage machine that we use for the end-to-end business. But
if anybody's interested in learning about the configurator,
if you want to have a look, It's ameliorate.com. So it's a contraction of AI with the French word ameliorate, to improve. So if you go AIMELIORATE.com, you should get a feel for what we're doing there. But it's an interesting market. It's not something you have to promote at the moment.
That's interesting. So how are people finding it? Just from the success of the other?
Just conversations. Yeah. I mean, as I say, we've got the end-to-end solution. So we've got the clients,
right.
And we've got us in the middle, and then we've got the tech, because you need all the bits of the puzzle.
And so the business model side of this, is it always to stay small, or will it be something that'll be open to more?
Yeah, no, I absolutely don't want an Amazon horse head in my bed at any point in my life. So, and you absolutely shouldn't. But essentially, it's a small power niche, low hanging fruit solution for universities or other sites that are a little bit stressed.
So for all you universities out there and other people that watch this, the best way to find out more about this would be to hit you up on LinkedIn, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Ping me, Henry at Ameliorate. Work the. It's an interesting one because it's a very clear problem in the UK. It's quite niche. Whether or not that's the same situation in the US, and I don't know, because I spent last week down in Austin going around tech and Dell, who were fantastic, with Andrew Seeley and Mei Zhu, who took me to lots of interesting places, and Total Site Solutions as well. And we were discussing this, and I said, well, does this problem exist in the US in universities? And it didn't really, but with changes to funding and a shift in that, then potentially it is an issue. So, but I think for the US, essentially, we don't want to compete with anyone. But we have a very powerful sausage machine that could certainly improve someone's business in the data center or mission critical infrastructure delivery.
So is this why?
And those are conversations I'd like to have.
Is this part of the reason why you're in Texas, other than for the good old fashioned barbecue and shooting range?
Yeah, I do like shooting ranges, and I quite like brisket. But predominantly, I've been having lots of cool conversations. I mean, it's just mad at the moment in the US, the data center rush, and particularly Texas. I mean,
is the US the new frontier again for data centers and technology? Are we back on the map?
Yeah, it's absurd. Absolutely, demand outstrips supply. It's and there's the only way. Ironically, the only way that there can be more AI is to use AI to replace the humans.
Right.
I don't make the rules. I don't like it particularly, but it's just the way it is.
I also think it's creating a lot of jobs too. I don't know if it's a wipeout of humans, but I mean, I think everybody out there that's watching this that has used AI, I mean, there are a lot of things that make our lives quicker, simpler, and even in business. I mean, there's a lot of value to it, but you're right.
Yeah. Where I see it, it's so powerful for replacing repetitive roles.
Yeah.
So your guy who's graduated or girl who's graduated, done 3 years of pro, and then is a planner, quantity surveyor, structural engineer. Those are the low-hanging fruit to replace those roles with. And if I look on the bright side, people who actually make things, go out and physically make things, sort of blue collar, if you like.
Plumbers, electricians are not going to lose their jobs to AI.
Yeah, AI, they are not going to lose their jobs to AI.
Until the robots come in the house, and the robots are programmed to fix toilets. But that's what?
Well, the robots aren't going to come in your house. And two, they're going to go, oh, you've had the cowboys in it, love. Yeah, whoa, no.
Have you seen the human robots? I actually have a company that's talking to me right now, wants me, to work with us for robots for their factories. So I
Yeah.
responded. I said, I'll consider it, but can you send one to my house?
Yeah, test it out. Oh, hang on, what's that? That stud's in the wrong place. Hang on a minute, that's not supposed to be there. Oh dear, who's been there?
I'll get it right at some point. Well,
So
very cool.
if there's an upside to it, it's that.
Yeah. So you mentioned Meizu, right? Who used to be a really heavy hitter at Dell and is a heavy hitter in the data center world.
Yep.
And then Andrew Seeley, another favorite of mine, from G-Pod, that is building, I think, the coolest house ever built in the country, sustainably wise, on his land, but also the energy solutions that he has come up with, are making a big splash. Is there a reason you're with those two? I'm giving you a chance to plug them, or maybe it's all hush hush. I shouldn't say anything.
No, not at all. I've known those guys before I got into this, into this. I was down with Andrew last week, actually, in May. Had a look around the G-Pod site. It's a cool sandbox down there. And,
I stayed there in one of their little ADUs. You probably saw
I saw it. Yeah.
Quite comfortable.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. Essentially, Andrew knows best. He knows standalone stuff. He knows the PV. He's been doing that for a long time. May has all the contacts anyone could ever wish for. Dell were just super open, super friendly, super interested.
Yeah.
And that has been the story of pivoting from normal construction back into this space, because essentially anything that improves the process, any people are over it. They're just over it. They go, great. Right. What do we do?
Absolutely. So very cool. Well, we're gonna have May and Andrew on the show, and I think I saw Andrew in the comment section there, so we'll give him a shout out as well. Not that we just didn't give him shout outs, but we'll give him some more love. What the hell? So. All right, we're getting close on time here. Yep. Let's talk about anything interesting that you've done here. Have you gone to any shows, events, concerts? Other than the shooting range, which would be my choice to go to over any of those things myself on occasion. But have you been to any events lately?
Yeah, I went to the Industrialized Housing Summit in Austin last week. Andrew dragged me. He made me do it. And, we raced each other on Lime scooters, so it wasn't all bad. It was really weird. It was very much like being in the UK conference circa 2014.
Yeah.
A lot of rhetoric.
Interesting.
Gosh, so if they came along and said, Henry, you're in charge of sorting out all the affordable IC housing delivery in Texas, and absolutely it can be done. Absolutely can be done. Metrics, methodology, measurements, prove the value proposition. If we could prove the value proposition of IC, we would not be having this conversation, and you would not have a show. It's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's either profit or government mandates. That's the thing that changes it. And being unable to prove it is a real problem. And my takeaway was, great, lots of good intent. Back to the shoulda, woulda, coulda,
right.
Part of the puzzle, part of the flow chart.
Did anybody say, here's how we're going to do it. Let's do it together. Let's move forward. This is the next steps.
No, it very much felt like a round peg in square hole. You've got guys there who are sort of just building stick in a shed to overcome all the IC regulation hurdles. So, it was working. The guy was extremely open and honest about it. Felt like a rush to the bottom. Then you had Amherst and Joe Butler doing it right, but struggling with the approvals and acceptance and hurdles that the government were putting in place.
Everybody is, even the newcomers onto the market, and listen, I don't know. It just feels like we're always trying to put a square peg in a round hole just to make it work and figure it out versus.
But it does work and it is fixable. Back in the Skystone days in 2018, we had third-party inspectors from the US. We had client stakeholders all over the place. You effectively had a shed in Poland, where we're bringing all the bits of the stuff, the cages, the Marriott supply chain, which is 38% of the project, the facades, fitting out there. And there was no way that you could have the inspectors come over and look at it. So we set up a bespoke app for every stakeholder. We had real-time 360 cameras, so you could strip back with time lapse if you missed something, and you had QR codes on every single thing that was inspected automatically to the requirements of whoever the stakeholders were and the inspectors were, with all the documentation behind it. So it is fixable from the stuff that's gone before. But
well, here's a question for you, being from England, the EU, living in Europe and all those places. A lot of European countries have a regulation based on performance and safety, right? Versus how many Simpson strong ties or, what's in the house. It's based on the performance of the house. And you need all of those things. But has it made a difference over there for industrialized construction, even though they have a performance-based code versus what we deal with here?
They don't particularly. I just correct you slightly, because I spent a couple of years looking at the harmonization of building standards and codes and inspections and testing and what's accepted and what's not across Europe and in most of the world, actually.
Yep.
And although the EU rhetoric is that all the EU norms are harmonized, they just aren't. And then probably the UK has the most succinct one set of building codes that are very prescriptive. When they become interpretive, then that's a problem. And you can have situations where in Switzerland you've got 3 tiers of hierarchy of building regs approvals, and then you've got 14 cantons. It's a mess. It is a mess. At the end of the day, it comes down to who's going to underwrite it, who's going to insure it, who's going to sign it off. You get those people together, you concentrate what they want, and then you tailor a solution to that. And that will not be country specific, because that'll be project specific.
Got it. Are you going to be running for Secretary of Housing or
No, I'm not. I'm genuinely thinking about just buying myself 10 acres here, building a big shed, right, with just a skunk works of putting together something philanthropic, like standalone power units for affordable housing, like a little bit of BESS, a little bit of PV, some low voltage stuff, and becoming a philanthropist.
I think you'd be very good at it.
I think I would. I'm very humble.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, let's give a quick shout out to Andrew. Andrew says mixing the new stuff into the old stuff is big business these days. Good, Andrew. When are you coming back on the show to talk about this energy stuff, my friend?
Come on, Andrew.
I know, seriously, man. He doesn't like my last minute calls. He's busy. He's got a lot going on. Hey, we got somebody actually streaming from Nigeria. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you joining us, Emmanuel Bernard. Love it. Might be heading to Africa, in not too long, actually, for some projects.
Yeah, I have to say the data center world is very interesting.
Yeah,
in Africa, really interesting.
Well,
it was pretty interesting everywhere, to be fair. But, it is a gold rush.
It is a gold rush. In fact, a lot of my travels overseas and Southwest Asia, we just came back from. It's part of every conversation, and there isn't enough data centers to keep up at the moment. But even worse than that, there's not enough energy for the data centers to be able to keep up at the moment. So, I mean, when we talk about, the gold rush of what's happening, it is right now, because there's 2 problems that have to be solved. How do we build the data centers quick enough? And then how do we energize these data centers without putting all the lights off on everybody else in the country?
Yeah, but what I've found fascinating about everyone I've bounced the idea of from sort of 2 years ago when I was speaking to Joel Hutchins about, I think we should, why am I not configuration data centers?
Right.
And to just May and everyone I've spoken to and the team we got together for Ameliorate, the concinnity of it, just the coming together, all these interesting, clever, motivated people has been an absolute joy.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't experienced in the IC world for 10 years.
You know what? I say this about my life every day, Henry. What's cool about what I do for a living and why I like getting up every day is I only sit with forward thinking people. I'm always talking to people that are looking to make a change, whether you agree with them or not. They're out there trying to do something better, whether you think it sucks or it doesn't suck, right? And it, like you said, when you hang out with those types of people, it's very inspiring. It's like it invigorates you to want to do more, want to do better. So I can completely relate with what you say because that is pretty much every day of my life anymore. Which I love.
Just prove something is better. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And I get so much flack from people because they'll say, well, this is 70% faster and has 40% less CO2 and costs 10% less. Literally had that conversation at the IC conference last week. I'm just like, prove it. Show me your workings out. Show me your methodology because it does not exist. And this is half the problem. We got to stop throwing around unsubstantiated percent. I said, just make it 38.7. I might believe you. And I've seen a Porsche consulting report came out recently, last month. There's no methodology in it. There's no backup. The references they use have been discredited. And then people just cut and paste it and repost it. I mean, it was done with Autodesk, and Autodesk even did that. So shape up Autodesk, get a grip. If you want to be taken seriously, just garbage in, garbage out. It's got to stop. We've got to start proving better, whatever you're doing. Show your workings out, prove it's better. And apparently that makes me cantankerous.
You know what? Listen, we need real conversation, whether people like it or not. That's just how I feel. And there's a whole lot of gray water out there. There's a whole lot of new experts that are all of a sudden in our space that have the answers to lean and everything else. And I think having real conversations and people that are willing to call it what it is and have bring awareness. That's what we have to do. Like any growing industry, you have good, bad, better, best, but it's hard to decipher who that is because there's a lot of good salespeople out there.
There apparently are, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Henry, man, did I miss anything? Anything you want to share with us before we wrap?
I don't mind. I mean, any question. If I've done it before, I'm very happy to give anyone the benefit of the hard knocks.
Right.
And it's not. It genuinely isn't rocket science. This stuff can be fixed.
Jennifer says, reminds me of our good friend Jerry McCahey, who used to ask, how much does a day on a job site cost? So if you could actually answer the question.
Yeah, I'll go, man. I miss Jerry. He used to phone me up all the time and we just bounce things off. And actually, from one thing from the IC conference the summit last week, was there was a lot of love out there, for Steve Dubin and Joe Butler and just everyone out there just sort of, can't believe Jerry's gone. But there you go.
Yep, I know it. I know Jerry. Jerry was my mentor, and just like you, became a really good friend over the years. So if you guys are listening and you don't know who Jerry McCahey is, he was a real innovator in the construction world. Integra was their company, and then they got bought by a bigger conglomerate that didn't do so well with it. But Jerry McCahey will live on as a legend in my mind, whether you like him or not, because Henry is quite much like yourself, where he just put it out there, whether you liked it or whether you didn't like it. And he made a lot of really good points. So, Henry, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for joining us today. Don't go anywhere. For the rest of you that are out there, hey, listen. We'd love to have you as a supporting member. We'd love to see you at Greenbuild. We're going to be at Greenbuild in Los Angeles, November 4th through the 7th. You might want to be there. Dave Cooper Live has a stage. That's right. Our own stage right in the center of the convention room floor. And we are going to be talking about industrialized construction, offsite construction, not just single family, multifamily, not just wood, steel. We're going to bring the industry together in a way that you haven't seen in the past, and it's going to keep growing. We got a lot of exciting things happening on our end. So we want you to be a part of our journey. If you want the inside scoop and how you can participate in what we're doing around the world, give us a ring. We'd love to also have your logo up here on the bottom as well. All right, Mr. Mickelberg, appreciate you. For the rest of you out there, It's Wednesday. I hope you have a good rest of your week. And remember, you still got 2.5 days to keep building it better, especially if you're on the West Coast. You got even more time. But with that said, we'll see you Monday, 1 p.m. Don't miss it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Henry, thank you for being a guest. Don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the show. Thanks, everyone. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.